Good morning and welcome to morning prayer on this Monday, July 13th. For this morning's morning prayer, we shall be, this is the readings for today's morning prayer. And in the link below will be announcements and the morning blessing linked below. We invite you to use a morning blessing along with these readings. Our first reading is from the book of Ecclesiastes, the second chapter. I said to myself, "Come now, let me try you with pleasure and the enjoyment of good things." But behold, this too was vanity. Of laughter I said, "Mad," and of myrrh, what good does this do? I thought of beguiling my senses with wine, though my mind was concerned with wisdom, and of taking up folly, until I should understand what is best for people to do under the heavens during the limited days of their life. I went on to the consideration of wisdom, madness, and folly, and I saw that wisdom has the advantage over folly, as much as light has the advantage over darkness. The wise has eyes in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. Yet I knew that one lot befalls both of them. So I said to myself, if the fool's lot is to befall me also, why then should I be wise? Where is the profit for me? And I concluded in my heart that this too is vanity. Neither of the wise nor of the fool will there be an abiding remembrance, for in days to come both will have been forgotten. How is it that the wise dies as well as the fool? Therefore I loathed life, since for me the work that is done under the sun is evil, for all is vanity and a chase after wind. And I detested all the fruits of my labor under the sun, because I must leave them to a person who is to come after me. And who knows whether he will be a wise person or a fool? Yet he will have control over all the fruits of my wise labor under the sun. This also is vanity. So my feelings turned to despair of all the fruits of my labor under the sun. For here is someone who has labored with wisdom and knowledge and skill, and to another who has not labored over it, he must leave his property. This also is vanity and a great misfortune. For what profit comes to someone from all the toil and anxiety of heart with which he has labored under the sun? All his days sorrow and grief are his occupation. Even at night his mind is not at rest. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for someone than to eat and drink and provide himself with good things by his labors. Even this, I realized, is from the hand of God. For who can eat or drink apart from him? For to whatever someone sees fit, he gives wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, he gives a task of gathering possessions to be given to whatever person God sees fit. This also is vanity and a chase after wind. You have been born anew through the living and abiding Word of God. And from a homily on Ecclesiastes by St. Gregory of Nyssa. We shall be blessed with clear vision if we keep our eyes fixed on Christ, for he, as Paul teaches, is our head, and there is in him no shadow of evil. St. Paul himself and all who have reached the same heights of sanctity had their eyes fixed on Christ, and so have all who live and move and have their being in him. As no darkness can be seen by anyone surrounded by light, so no trivialities can capture the attention of anyone who has his eyes on Christ. The person who keeps his eyes upon the head and origin of the whole universe has them on virtue in all its perfection. He has them on truth, on justice, on immortality, and on everything else that is good. For Christ is goodness itself. The wise man then turns his eyes toward the one who is his head, but the fool gropes in darkness. No one who puts his lamp under bed instead of on a lampstand will receive any light from it. People are often considered blind and useless when they make the supreme good their aim, and give themselves up to the contemplation of God. But Paul made a boast of this and proclaimed himself a fool for Christ's sake. The reason he said, "We are fools for Christ's sake," was that his mind was free from all earthly preoccupations. It was as though he said, "We are blind to the life here below, because our eyes are raised toward the one who is our head." And so, without board or lodging, he traveled from place to place, destitute, naked, exhausted by hunger and thirst. When men saw him in captivity, flogged, shipwrecked, led about in chains, they could scarcely help thinking him a pitiable sight. Nevertheless, even while he suffered all this at the hands of men, he always looked toward the one who is the head, and he asked, "What can separate us from the love of Christ, which is in Jesus? Can affliction or distress? Can persecution, hunger, nakedness, danger, or death?" In other words, what can force me to take my eyes from him who is my head and to turn them toward things that are contemptible? He bids us follow his example. Seek the things that are above, he says, which is only another way of saying, keep your eyes on Christ. Long ago, God has spoken to us in many and various ways through the prophets. But in these last days, God has spoken to us by the Son. We wish you all a blessed day and look forward to seeing you in the evening prayer. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.